like to start this shir with a fascinating question, which is not so much perhaps a 9-day question, but it brings us to the reality of the world that we live in today and makes a person think. Got a phone call this morning from somebody that I know for about 20 years, and he said, my son asked me to ask you the following question. I assume that his son, that's the one who asked the question, is in Gaza right now. That's what I assume, and you'll understand why in a minute. I mean, he has sons that are soldiers, but I assume that was where the question was coming from. A father who cannot be at the bris of his son, but is going to be attending through Zoom, may he eat meat? Okay? So it wasn't told to me clearly that this was, but if you figure it out, that's what's going on. Can we just imagine that was the question? And I felt flattered because I'm sure I'm the first one ever asked this question. I don't think this question was asked beforehand. Don't think so. And I told him an answer which I would like to share with you, because as usual, this is an unusual answer. I said I would think 100% he could eat meat. The question is if they could eat meat. So the people at the Seuda. The people at the Seuda. So he was a little bit taken aback at that answer.
One or the other, or
but this was we just went from the default was he's the odd man out, and I'm bringing to the forefront that on the contrary, probably he's the guy who's allowed to eat meat, and it's questionable whether they could eat meat. Okay, now people were very disturbed by this. So I said, why do we make a Seudas Bris Milah? And the answer to that question, by and large, according to most poskim, is because the person was zeichet to be makayim a momentous mitzvah. Who?
Not because someone became part of Chalitza.
I have a great idea. Somebody makes a bris on their son in Dimona, so I'm going to make in Yerushalayim a Seuda because someone became part of Klal Yisrael. So
if the baby's there.
What's that? The baby's there?
The baby's the one who came to Klal Yisrael.
One second. First of all, the baby was in Klal Yisrael beforehand, but let's see what it says in Shulchan Aruch. And this is I'm going to read a halacha in Shulchan Aruch, which is a little bit. Most times we learn this halacha, we don't pay much attention because it's not nageya in the way that it's nageya right now. In Sif Yud, where it discusses eating meat, it says as follows. It says as follows. You give to the tinok to drink from the wine, whatever, and all that. Ubeseudas mitzvah kago milo pidyon abem b'siyam mesachtas v'seudas erusin oichlem basa v'shoisim yayin kol hashayochim l'seuda. I have no idea what that word means. We'll see in a minute. Okay. Aval yesh letzamsen shaloi lahoisif. If I would have been the Ramah, I would have said on the food and not on the people. But for some reason, he assumed there would be mitzvos on that anyways. But anyways, ubeshavua shachal Tisha b'avasaycha ein lecha balishtas yayin rak minyan mitzumtzum. Who is the minyan mitzumtzum? Where do we glean those people from? We go to Zichra Moshe and pull in strangers off the street. So let's look at the Mishnah Berurah. Shaloi lahoisif. Tavkuf nun aleph. Mishnah Berurah sif katan ayin vov. Shaloi lahoisif. Hainu mi shaloi ba machmas kurva. Oh, avas reim. Somebody who doesn't have, I'm going to use the word, a social obligation. Okay? he shouldn't be there. Rak lecha v'lishtos averi biyodoi. If you're not really there, you're not a part of the simcha, then you should not be eating meat. Okay. Whereas if it's Shul Shechal B'Tisha B'Av, you should have rak minyan mitzumtzum. Hainu mivad hakroivim hapsulim le'edus umivad bale mitzvah. Kroivim hapsulim le'edus to who?
Wait, those, they don't count for me?
No, these are aside for these people.
They're
right. They're not spectators. They're participants. Right?
But you can have another 10 of them.
What? Who's the Bali Simcha?
The father of the baby doesn't involve.
So let's go.
There's 3 of them. 3 of them get you out of Tafel, no?
Okay. Okay. So therefore, so the Bali HaSimcha are the Moel, the Sandik, and the father. Right? We know who the Bali HaSimcha are. That's not a question. So the Kroivim are who? Kroivim to who? That means that the Moel's son? To the Av.
It's the baby.
To the baby?
It's gonna change.
What? By the way, most of the time the father's Krovim and the baby's Krovim are right. No, I understand, but who is going to be there, right? This is a question. This is what needs Iyun over here. Who is the one who making the Seuda? So I researched this question. Not now. I know the answer to this question from a fascinating story which I'll share with you. My uncle, Alav Shalom, was very close to the Ponevezh Yeshiva, and my uncle made a bris and he invited the Ponevezh Yeshiva, and the Ponevezh Yeshiva missed the bris, and he came to the Seuda. Now I don't know what would have happened if he would have come to the bris. Would he have stayed for the Seuda? I don't know. It doesn't really make much of a difference. But I'm just telling you what happened. Not, you don't have to speculate.
Is it during the 9 days or something?
No. So Ponevezh Yeshiva, he was asked to speak, and he got up to speak, and he said, if you have a choice to go to the Seuda or to go to the ritual, which is more important to attend?
So being Jews say exactly what the opposite of what they think. It's the Seuda.
And he brought 3 rayas that the Seuda is more important. Now, I don't know what he would have said if he came to the ritual. I don't know, but
It's a very popular pasuk.
what?
Sure, it's a popular pasuk.
One second. Let's first examine what he says. Okay. So he said, so his raya. I only remember one. Last year I remember 2 or 3 of them, but today I only remember one, and that's the most compelling. There's a famous halacha not to invite somebody to a Seuda because if he doesn't come, it's like it doesn't say to the ritual, it says to the Seuda. There are more in Shulchan Aruch when it says it does not say about the ritual.
So you can invite people to the ritual?
That according to Shulchan Aruch, if you read Shulchan Aruch, that's what it said. So from here, the Ponevezh Yeshiva brought a raya that the Seuda is more important than the ritual. How's that for a chiddush for today, right?
It wouldn't apply, I assume, from the reason about it wouldn't apply to a Chachnasas, because some people often, you just go to Chachnasas to go to the chuppah and then you won't stay for the meal. But we can't say the meal is more important because on the invitation you always say the chuppah will be at such and such a time.
One thing's for sure, we don't bring rayas from chassan invitations because they're for sure always wrong. So that's now when is somebody obligated to be mesameach the chassan? Before the chuppah or after the chuppah? When is the mitzvah of being machnis, Chachnasas Choson, Chachnasas Kala? If you learn the Mishnah Berurah, the mitzvah is to be malava the chosen to the chuppah. And all those people who are just there, saving their seats in the auditorium, right, are missing out on possibly on a mitzvah. According to the Chofetz Chaim, it's a fascinating Chofetz Chaim, but we're not learning Avos Chesed now, so we'll leave it for another probably 8 or 10 years till we get to Avos Chesed there again on Shabbos. But the Echshahu, they're different mitzvahs, different things. And what is it that you are celebrating at a Seuda? In different Seudas, you're celebrating something different. And I'll just give you like a rundown. Pidyon Haben, the importance of the Seuda is Pirsum HaMitzvah. According to many poskim, the Seuda of Bris Milah is simcha of either making the bris or a mitzvah chashuva or a korban. Nothing to do with something totally different. The simcha, the Seuda of a bar mitzvah, according to Rav Moshe Feinstein, is a public statement that now he can be a public servant. And this has a great nafkamina halacha l'maisa.
That would be a person.
It's yes, but for a different purpose. I come from a non-partying, non-present background. Where I grew up, we didn't believe in all those things. They were not important. I'm not right now discussing whether they are or they aren't. I'm just saying that's what my background is. And I've been asked many times as a rabbi the following question, which, it's almost unfair to ask me the question because I don't consider the question a question. How important is the Seudas Bar Mitzvah to be on its day? So I said, how important is it to have a Seudas Bar Mitzvah? The truth of the matter is that I am a little bit of a crippled because I didn't have a Seudas Bar Mitzvah on the day of my Bar Mitzvah. I was born on Erev Pesach for some reason. My parents didn't do it. They didn't do it. I don't understand why. What? I didn't have a Bobayom. No, I didn't. I made it.
Doesn't the Mishnah Berurah say to make a Seuda for Bar Mitzvah?
It doesn't say to make. It says that one does make it and it has dinim to it. But to make, that's a different question. Okay? Is a person supposed to make a siyum when they make a masach, finish a masachta? Is it mechuyev to? It's a nice thing to do. No. I don't know if it's even a should do. It's not a chiyuv. It's each thing you have to know what you're mechuyev to do, right? And it's the question what you should do or you shouldn't do it. We already discussed that last week. Different levels of different kinds of things. So what happens is there are people who, that's one question I get asked, how important is it? So I say it has an advantage, which it definitely does. My raya is from a marshal. And then people say, but if I'm not making it on that day, does it make any difference if I make it before or after? So if you would ask me, I said it doesn't really make much of a difference. However, this is actually machlekes of Shlomo Zalman and Rabbi Yashiv. Shlomo Zalman is furious. That's like saying when you start Daf Beis Amud Aleph of Brachas, when they finish Daf Yomi, so they start Daf Beis Amud Aleph, so you come home tonight and you say, wife, I'm making a siyum tonight. So we're making a siyum. I decided I'm learning Shas, so I'm just making the siyum early. So Zalman says you cannot celebrate an event that didn't happen. So you cannot make a bar mitzvah before the bar mitzvah.
You can make a party. You can't make a bar mitzvah.
And what is the party? When it's afterwards, what is it?
Bar mitzvah.
Well, Yashua says you can make it before also.
Maybe he was like the rough, he just didn't.
Maybe, but I'm just saying he has a name, I don't, right? So it's a difference. So I'm just pointing out we all Seudas mitzvahs are all, it's all the same. It's all the same. Is there peidal tanesim and you go to siyum also? Wherever there's a mitzvah to eat, so maybe you have peidal tanesim. No. Everything has its own nature to it. So, depending on the reason what a Seudas mitzvah of the bris is, will tell you who is the Baal Seuda. And if you can have more than one Baal Seuda. So this was a question I was asked this week. I'm just sharing it with you because it's important to know, when you learn this halacha, that those who are there, that are people that I would call them close friends, are recognized in halacha as people that are supposed to be there. That's what it says here in this halacha. It's making your business to be there. It's an important nakuda. All right. Now, the subject I would like to learn today is Erev Tisha B'Av.
Now you want to answer the question?
Yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's an advantage. It's called it's how much you want to be apart. There's different levels to being apart. You could take home something to your wife from the Seudas Mitzvah also, right? The food has special chashivas to it. There's those people who only ate from a Seudas Mitzvah. They never ate from a meal that wasn't the Seudas Mitzvah. And if you didn't wash, so you still took part, but you're not a integral part. Okay? I will just, since I'm a rabbi of a shul like this one in particular, I would like to pick on an issue which needs chizuk. There are people in this shul that daven Shmona Esrei in the Ezras Nashim, and I get asked the question often: are they Yotze Tefillah B'Tzibur? And I say perhaps, but they're not part of the minyan. Okay, so you want to know how much you're part of the Seudas Mitzvah? Perhaps, but you're not part of the minyan. Okay? All right. Anyways, let's go to the subject I want to learn over here. I was asked this morning the following question, and I wasn't sure really what to answer. Someone asked me, should his wife work on Erev Tisha B'Av? Now, there is no halacha that says that you should not work on Erev Tisha B'Av. Yeah, it's on Tisha B'Av, so you're not supposed to work. Right? However, that's a tile. That's different halacha. Every halacha has its thing to it. Okay. However, he said, what about working till chatzos? I said, that's for sure okay. Nice political answer. Right? He didn't discuss afterwards. But the subject of afterwards is what I'd like to discuss, that Erev Tisha B'Av is not just the day before Tisha B'Av. Erev Tisha B'Av is a day that has its own character to it, and that's the subject that I would like to learn. The halachas of the character. In other words, we just assume that Erev Tisha B'Av, that you have to have a Seuda Mafsekes. And if you're like a big London, you know that you're not allowed to learn Torah. But what about as far as eating is concerned? If someone would say, I would like to go with my wife on Erev Tisha B'Av to a restaurant before the Seuda Mafsekes. Maybe. Is that appropriate? Okay? I'm going to order take-out Chinese food. Okay? Okay? Now, so I'm discussing over here the essence of the day. That's what I'd like to discuss. These halachas of they're not supposed to be learning Torah is already a indication that the day has a specific character to it. Okay. Now it happens to be what? Tavkuf Nun Beis. Well, it happens to be that this year on Erev Tisha B'Av I have a bris, and there's a special halacha that the Seuda of the bris should be before chatzos. Why? But what do you mean? It's a Seudas Mitzvah.
Is this similar to Erev Pesach, the Erev of the Berurah?
No, it's very different than Erev Pesach. I appreciate the question. It's very different. Erev Pesach is a yontif in its own right. It's the day of the Akrovas HaKorban Pesach. Erev Pesach is yontif. Right. It's not the pre-Pesach day. Now, it's true that the Korban Pesach is brought before Pesach, but it's a yontif in its own right. You understand? it's a well, just like there's the 3 weeks and there's it's part of the build up to that day. You understand? In other words, it's halachas have a different nature and are more chomor than that of the rest of the 9 days. That's what I would like to explore.
The entire Seuda has to be completed before Chatzos as opposed to the starting it?
The eating of the meat should be done. But that, again, that's a side halacha. It happens to be relevant to me this year. So,
You don't need meat or Tisha
but by Seudas Bris you can.
by Bris Seuda.
By Bris, okay. Okay, I'm going to read the Machaber, just the beginning. Erev Tisha v'lo Seuda Mafsekes she'oichel achar chatzos basar v'lo yishta yayin v'lo yochel shtei tavshilin. Now, basar yayin have special significance because this has to do with the korbanos and the nesachim which were in Nisbatel. Va'av mashkim acherim memayit b'shtiyasam mima sheragol lishtois. What's that?
Intoxicated meats.
No.
You have to drink a lot.
That includes water?
Mashkim acher memay b'shtir. It does actually include water. You'll see. We're going to see that the be'etzem you're not really supposed to. We're going to learn over here the halachas, and you'll see that it's a very chomor day and a chomor thing. We're going to skip around a little bit, okay? Because that's not the okay. Nagim, I love halachas which one is or the other, so we're going to do that. We're going to do a hey and vav. Nagim lechol adoshim im beitzim b'vushalim b'seicham she'im meichel avelim. The reason why we're eating this food is not for nutritious purposes. It's because we're signifying the Seuda. Now, when we, I'm going to jump to Yom Kippur, where we have another Seuda Mafsekes. This poskim say that the Seuda that's eaten on Erev Yom Kippur is the Seudas Yom Tif of Yom Kippur. You just can't eat your Seudas Yom Kippur on Yom Kippur because you have to be fasting. So therefore, you eat it on Erev Yom Kippur. Now I'd like to bring you to your attention a Mishnah Berurah Tezayah. Just take a look. V'yoymar, when you eat the Seuda Mafsekes, v'yoymar zehu Seudas Tisha B'Av. Now, obviously, we don't have a Seuda on Tisha B'Av, right? But it means that the Seuda Mafsekes is delineating the day of Tisha B'Av. When you eat this, I'm eating my Tisha B'Av meal now. Just like on Yom Kippur, the Seuda Mafsekes is the Seuda for the Yom Tif, which you can't have then. So this also has the character of the Tisha B'Av day that you eat the Ochel of Avelim on Erev Tisha.
Why we have a Seuda for Tisha? We're eating Avelim food.
That's how I'm explaining, right? Okay. So now, Nagim Lechol Adoshim and Beitzim V'Shalom B'Seicham Shehem Meichel Avelim. There's a reason why we're eating them. Okay? Says the Mishnah Berurah, V'lo Yochel Tavshel Lechar. And you're not supposed to eat anything else. No, we don't do that. Etc. Now, next halacha. That's it. That's our custom. I don't think anybody else eats the other stuff. Maybe the Sfardim do, but Ashkenazim, they just eat the beitzah. Now here comes the next halacha, and this is the focus of what I would like to speak about today. Not much to say about it, but much to speak about it. Misha after loy lo yochal basura mafsekes ela pas chareva b'melach v'kiton shel mayim. No egg without the main event.
You have 2 tafshilim?
No, that's a question of what you're allowed to have, right? Beforehand, we discussed what we're allowed to have. Now we're discussing. And we just said the nagim that's to eat an egg, and now we're saying if you could avoid eating the egg, avoid eating the egg. Why? Because we want this Seuda to be as drab and plain and boring and ugly as possible. No, that's basically that. Misha Efshaloi lo yochel b'Seuda Mafsekes ala pas chareva, dry bread b'melech v'kita shamayim. V'yesh machmirim the tabel achar achilos and pas be'efer v'lo ochloi. Now this is obviously not for nutritional reason, right? This is you're making a statement. Al shem v'yagres v'chetzotz. Okay, that's what you're supposed to do. Chareva mikol makom al yemayit b'shir achilaso. Listen to the words of the Mishnah Berurah. El yaseh ba'ofen sheyochal lizbol hatainis v'chein b'shtiyas hamayim. So now we're going to have a machlokes. What did the Mishnah Berurah say? Did the Mishnah Berurah say, make sure you eat a lot? Or there's no Hagbala? What did he say? One is, should I drink as much as I can? Or should I drink as much as I think I need? What? No, but read it. It's not so clear. You know, it's these components don't have a shear to them.
What's the other way to look at it?
What?
What's the other way to look at it?
And therefore you could eat whatever you want.
Right.
Or
it's on the back.
Oh, so right. So now, so what is he saying? So Peretz asked before, is there a Hagbala how much water to drink?
An hour work is done.
No, this is first we discussed the concept. Is there a Hagbala of how much water to drink?
Answer how much
Yes.
you need to get through the fast.
You should have as much as you need and no more. Perhaps, you could take your spare tire with you. You know what I mean? Whatever it's called that you need to be certain. But you're not supposed to be hoarding for the next 3 days. So not only is there a halacha telling us minimizing the tafrit, but we're minimizing also the kamut ochel. Why is that? It's Tisha B'Av. It's just earlier. And anything that has to do with eating, that should not be being done. That's not what's being done. You're making it. Theoretically, you should fast, so to speak, on Erev Tisha B'Av. But you have to, and this is even discussed, this concept by some Pasana Paiskim. All right, but the bottom line is that there's a, what you will learn, which should never happen, that we have Erev Tisha B'Av Shabbos B'Shabbos anymore. But if it does happen, so you'll understand that there the halacha is that you're allowed to eat Kesura Shlamim B'Shaitoi Shal Shudas. Now that halacha has meaning. Right, it has meaning. It's a whole different halacha. Now, from where we're standing right now. Okay. Now, I am not.
This is
with the Seudas. So that there's a Mishnah Berurah discusses that also. Even if you're going to have, we'll see whether there's a Mishnah Berurah about that also. There's a problem with what we do. In other words, what people eat, they eat this big meal and then they make their mincha. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that too. That's what we're doing. All these things to hopefully have this down pat. Okay. Now, I don't like to discuss Kabbalistic things for a variety of reasons. The most nigla reason is, to me, it's nister. Okay? So we'll just leave it at that. But I know what it says. I could quote the words. There's a question that's asked in the Tzitz Eliezer, which really, I remember the first time I saw the question, it infuriated me. How could I never have asked this question? And his answer perhaps also infuriated me, but at least he asked the question. The halacha is when a lady gets chalitza, she pulls the shoe off of the man, and she says a pasuk. So the Tzitz Eliezer asks, how could she say a pasuk? She's holding a shoe. That's called an infuriating question. You understand? Like,
Nowadays it's a ceremonial shoe.
so
You have the
this is part of the question. Pay with answer. They have to know what does a shoe need to have to be, and I like the way you take defense in your offense. What about in their days? In the olden days, when they took what was called a regular shoe, how did they do this? What about that halacha? Right? This is called an infuriating question, right? So, like, how could you be Jewish and not ask this question? It's a Poshup Shak question. It's not even a Poshup Shak question, right? So, he discussed this idea.
that's the mitzvah.
So, a second. First, appreciate the question.
Yes.
Is that the mitzvah? Perhaps, maybe you should take a special shoe, as you just gave to opportunity. Someone says, I have over here a brand new shoe, a chalitza shoe from the Smithsonian Institute, and I have a shoe that fits all the halachas. Is there an advantage to take one or the other? Should I take in consideration this thing? So you have to know. These are called a question. I'm not looking for right now answers. Let's first appreciate the question. So in the different Tzitz Eliezer, he discusses why is it that when one touches their shoes, they're not allowed to learn Torah, touch what's this thing? Now, we know that there's a machlokes haposkim if you have shoes that are made out of man-made material, whether that halacha applies, or it's dafka leather shoes. And this is like, one of those, okay, we have no complaints this way or that way, we have no understanding, so it's fine. Whatever you tell me is okay with me, right? Because we don't have anything to say on the subject. So I'm not going to discuss the subject, which I do have some information on the subject. That's not the point over here. But the nakuda which I would like to discuss is that those that say that the reason why there's tumah on your shoes is because your shoes are always on the ground, and the ground is tameh. The ground is the most physical thing there is in the world, and therefore it encapsulates a lot of tumah, and therefore there's a sakana of sitting on the ground without some kind of a mechitza between you and the ground. And bisfrat on Tisha B'Av, this halacha is important. We're going to learn this right now. Okay? V'nogo leishev al gabe karka b'Seudas Mafsekes. You sit on the ground, says the Mishnah Berurah. Kedei sheyeh Seuda shvola. It should be a low-class Seuda. Uv'makom sheb'nogo lechos b'seiba, then you didn't have to do that. You could just eat without a seiba. Mikol makom, im vadom cholosh, yochol aniach kar tachtov. Says the Shari Tshuva, I am berhetiv. Because of birkei yosef b'shem harash Shari Aryeh, the tzarach lahafsik beged beino lakarka al pi kabbalah. Person has to have some kind of a mechitza between him and the ground. Ki ein leishev al karka afilu im begadov. Ela beged shenim yuchel lo avushov. You have to have some kind of non-clothing, whatever. So it doesn't mean that's what it is. Vayin sharu b'divrei hamaril shevi B'Rib Avrohom shekasa shayelo sarbo garua shelo lahafsid begadov mevor deloi chosh laha. To Mariel, he wasn't worried about this. Mikol makom nira kivan shemuter leishev al sak yesh lasas kain lochush l'divrei hakabbalah shekasa marash. It's like a fascinating halacha. So there are those who are makbid, and this is befrata. So someone says she'd be makbid on this all year own. If I'm not mistaken, I think I saw somebody who says that we're more makbid on this on Tisha B'Av than we are at other times. That this is a more.
Does that include sitting on the floor? Sitting on the floor rather than on the ground itself?
I don't think there's any difference. If the Kaf HaChaim, he expands on this quite a bit. Let's go to the next halacha.
Obviously, those that sit on stools, this doesn't apply to.
One should not be sitting on the stool. That's the vort. One should really not be sitting on the stool. How do I know you're not sitting on the stool? Because you just learned the Mishnah Berurah that says so. Just now you learned the Mishnah Berurah that says so. Let's read the Mishnah Berurah again for all those who are sleeping. Mikal makam im adam chalosh yachol aniach kar tachtov. What did that say?
They didn't have stools around it. It says they didn't have stools around it. Everyone's sitting on the floor. What you could do is you could take your pillows because
If you are,
that's how I understand.
if you are,
Adam chalosh.
but if you're not Ram Cholosh,
They're just sitting on the floor.
all right? Is that what it says? I think so.
It doesn't say that, but that's the.
But if you said it's enough to go from a seba to sitting straight, that between from sitting on the chair to sitting in the stool would be enough of a change.
I don't know the answer to that question 100%. I don't know the answer. I accept the question, but I do understand that it's sitting. A person is not supposed to be sitting on a stool in Avelis either. That's also like a kula. It's supposed to sitting on the ground. Why you sit on the ground that's less than Gimel Tzvachim? Why? Because it's like sitting on the ground. Because it's less than Gimel. It's Ki'ilu, right? Okay, thank you. I sound familiar. Right. Okay. All right. Anyways, next I'd like to learn the next halacha because this is the important, so to speak, the grand finale of this what we're talking about. Seuda Mafsekes shein da'at l'chol l'acharei Seudas keva shuach chatzos. Avol l'mohaya koydem chatzos or achar chatzos v'da'at l'chol l'acharei Seudas keva. And so chalitza but normal. In other words, after chatzos you could really eat two different meals. U'minim chol glus Ashkenaz zechel Seuda kavua koydem mincha v'achar chasal mincha v'oichlin Seuda Mafsekes. Okay. Now, v'noigim l'harbis ksas b'Seuda Rishaya. Next words. Kedei shelo yazik lohem hatainis holo poskim ibod yom kemo b'yom kippurim. In other words, we have to give a. Why do we have to give a reason? It's not the Seuda Mafsekes. Eat whatever you want. We don't need a reason. No, you do need a reason. It's Erev it's Erev Tisha B'Av. That's what it says, right? We need a riot to it all, so it's not even enough, you understand? I don't know what that word means exactly. I don't know why that's the word that we're using to I don't know what that is, but this has to do with our discussion last week. He's not called a machmer. He's not a machmer. He's a kodesh, right?
He knows the fast doesn't bother him, so what's the big deal? He's doing it by not eating so much. It's not going to bother him anyway.
Because there's an inyan not to eat. That's the point. There's an inyan that one should, theoretically, you should not be eating on Erev Tisha B'Av. I understand it's like, it's a fuch al fuch, right? You have a mitzvah to eat the Seuda Mafsekes. But you're not supposed to be eating on Erev Tisha B'Av because it's Erev Tisha B'Av. But you have to eat on Erev Tisha B'Av because it's Erev Tisha B'Av. So we have this stira.
Is the idea that a person should really make it so that he suffers more in terms of hunger? In which case, I was thinking these like tablets that they sell outside certain shuls that are supposed to reduce your discomfort on Tisha B'Av, then that would probably detract from being kodesh if you take such tablets, perhaps.
Well, I would like to answer your question with my opinion. If those pills work, and I'm not saying I know how they work, whether they work or they don't work, the people who are taking them because they're afraid they're not going to make it through the fast. In other words, the people are not doing this to make it super comfortable. The people who are good fasters don't take them. It's the people who are worried fasters take them. I think that's
Or people that generally don't feel well. So
yeah, whatever. I'll say some people that have an issue. A person who fasts, a regular person doesn't buy them. So your question is irrelevant because what?
I didn't know that information.
Yeah,
I just
no.
thought people
So
to
who says
make
that
it
the Indian
easier.
can be hungry? The Indian is just not to eat some.
There's not enough. Mi sheyachol lesagef atzmoi. What does those words mean? Lesagef means I don't know. I translate. You have to Google that for me exactly. I translate lesagef. What it means. It means. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, right. There's people who eating one less rogalach is going to put them more than those people who.
So you have a question on me or on the Ramah?
Just want to clarify the concept.
The Mishnah Berurah says that if a person can afflict himself by not eating, he should do so. And you should eat. You should put in as much gas in your tank as you do when you're returning a car to the car rental place. Enough to get by. Got it? That's basically what it says. And, okay, we don't have time to see the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah goes into this. If you ate enough, then we're going to have a problem with your Seuda Mafsekes. Seuda Mafsekes should be also that you shouldn't be overeating yourself. That's, okay, we don't have time. All right. I think that's what we do. You should know better than me.
Hey, the question, right? Chalitza is in a